Hi, I'm Tyson Franklin, and welcome to this episode of the Podiatry Legends podcast. This is a special episode I'm putting out, and I've titled it Understanding Biomechanics Using Guitar Chords. Now, how this came about, I've been talking to some students recently, talking to some recent graduates, and also talking to some employers. And there's this confusion around biomechanics and why some recent graduates, when they come out, the employers feel they're not up to speed. And they're going, are the universities not teaching them the way that we used to be taught? Do they lack communication skills? And I started thinking about it, and I went, yeah, it might be partially that. The university may have changed the way that they do things. But I think back to myself when I was a student 30 years ago, and I look back at that particular person. I look at photos of that person, which I hardly recognize now, and I realize it wasn't so much that I didn't understand biomechanics. I understood the basics, but I didn't know how to apply them. Then you go ahead 5 years, and you go ahead 10 years. The podiatrist that was out 10 years, I was so much better than I was when I was out 5 years. So I knew, wow, where was I going to be in 15 years and then 20 years? And I looked at myself now after 30 years at where I was when I was out 20 years, and I know that I was so much better. And it's with experience, things get easy, your understanding improves. And I think what happens is when we've been out for a number of years as employers, we employ a new graduate and we sometimes forget that, yes, we understand the basics, but we have not had a chance or an opportunity to actually apply it in practice. We may have applied it at university, we may have done a little bit of work experience, but it doesn't mean we've had the chance to actually apply it in a clinical situation and learn also from our mistakes. So this got me thinking about when I learned to play the guitar. And I thought, wow, it's very, very similar. So when I was first learning to play the guitar, you pick the thing up. And here's the thing, in case, if you're not a guitar player. Now, if you are a guitar player, I apologize ahead of time. I'm not the best guitar player in the world, or in Cairns or anywhere. So if you don't know about playing the guitar, you can play left or right-handed. So that's the first thing. Also, you've got one hand that holds the strings down to create a chord, like a shape for a chord. And then you've got the other hand that does the strumming. That's the hand that you can hear now. So when somebody's learning to play the guitar, one of the first chords they might learn is a G chord. Sounds very, very simple, and it is. But it's a little bit more complicated. One, you've got to be able to get your fingers on all those strings at the same time, and you've also just got to strum nicely with the other hand. You might learn to do a C chord, might be the next thing. And then a D chord might be another one. So those three simple chords, which are very simple, can be used for so many songs. So somebody might say, who's playing the guitar, I'll say, show me a G chord, and they go, they do it. Show me a C chord, they do it, and I go, now show me a D chord, and they do that, and I go, great, now play me Good Riddance from Green Day. And all of a sudden they would look at me like a deer in the headlights. They would have no idea what I mean by that. I'd go, oh, okay, well, I know, give me a Bob Dylan song, Knocking on Heaven's Door. And it would be exactly the same thing. They would look at me and go, I don't understand. Yet there's still the three basic chords, G, D, and C. And it's amazing when you're looking at chords, amazing what even Elvis did with just two chords was amazing. So just because they understand the basics of biomechanics is no different to playing the guitar. Just because you understand the chords doesn't necessarily mean you know how to play music. So taking those three chords into effect, this is, say, Good Riddance, for example, then I'll do Knocking on Heaven's Door. So you can hear the difference, but it's the same three chords. So just bear with me for a sec. Okay, so that was the three chords just doing Good Riddance. Nice and simple. Now, same three chords, but Knocking on Heaven's Door. So there's three basic chords, G, C, and D, used in a different progression creates a completely different sound, and the end result is completely different. when students are learning biomechanics and they learn the basics, they don't quite yet know how to put those basics together to create music, or how to get the end result that you're after. So I think you just got to step back a little bit. Remember where you were yourself when you first graduated and you understood the basics, but you didn't yet know how to create music. And just think of this recording. The next time you're sitting down with a new graduate and you're trying to explain things to them, they might say to you, yes, I know how to do a G chord, I know how to do a C chord, I know how to do a D, but just realize they don't yet know how to create music. And just give them a little bit of time, give them a little bit of space, and they will eventually pick it up. Now, I must admit, some people, it doesn't matter how much practice they do, never learn how to play the guitar, and they throw it in and they give it up. And they probably should. But it's one of those things, the more you do it, the better you get. And it's no different to me playing the guitar. I don't play it all the time, but I know the more that I play it, the better I get. And you'll probably find the same yourself. The more you're seeing biomechanical patients, the better you get. But if you've got a new graduate and you're only giving them 1 or 2 biomechanical patients a month, or maybe 1 or 2 a week, and you're wondering why their skills are not improving fast, it's because you're not giving them enough to learn. No different to picking up the guitar, and only picking it up once a week for half an hour is not going to be as good as picking it up every day for half an hour. So it's repetition, repetition, repetition. The more that they actually see biomechanical patients, the more you help and guide them, look at their files, show them where they might be making some mistakes. And then it's teaching them the little tricks, little shortcuts to make things better. See, when I was doing that knocking on heaven's door, and you would have heard me doing the D, you may have picked up this little other noise. That little note, that one there, that's a suspended. Now, when you're first learning to do a D chord, you just learn the D. Once you're good at the D, then the person will teach you how to do the suspended. It's no different in the clinic. You teach them the basics. Get them good with the basics. Repetition with the basics. More and more biomechanical patients, they're going to get better with experience. Then you start bringing in the extra little skills that are going to make them a better podiatrist. So I hope you find that useful. I would love your feedback on this particular recording. If you like this idea of using the analogy of playing a guitar with biomechanics, hey, and if you think this is just crap and you went, Tyson, that was all rubbish, didn't like it at all, hey, send me an email as well, because I want feedback. I want to know what people think, because there's a lot of stuff that goes on in my head sometimes that I just wonder if people need to hear it or if they want to hear it or not. So any questions at all, send me an email, tf@tysonfranklin.com, and I will talk to you again shortly. Bye for now.